This week's top Disney news stories include the announced reopening of Disneyland and Major League Soccer news. There are also stories about the NBA and Lionel Richie, so stay tuned and I'll break it all down. Well, hello there! My name's Jeremy and welcome back to Freeform Disney, where I talk about all aspects of Disney, from the animated movies to the theme parks to Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar, and the TV shows, and everything else in between. And that is why it's Freeform. And keep coming back every day for new daily content. If you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Now it's that time of the week once more, so on to this week's biggest Disney news stories. Our top story of the week is the announced reopening of Disneyland. Disney has gone ahead and announced that Disneyland and California Adventure will reopen on July 17th. That's the 65th anniversary of the original opening of Disneyland. Now, as for the rest of the Disneyland resort, Downtown Disney would open about a week earlier on July 9th, and the big hotels will open a little later on July 23rd. Now that's the two big hotels of the Grand Californian and the Paradise Pier Hotel, but not Disneyland Hotel, as that won't open until some unspecified time later. Now what should you expect to see? Well, frankly, this is a lot like what you saw for Walt Disney World's announced reopening. If you're curious about the details of that, I will go ahead and leave you a link and just give you a couple of the highlights here. But you can look at my other video on Walt Disney World's reopening, and that's pretty much the same stuff. Also, feel free to head over to Disneyland.com, as that will also give you all the information you could want. So a couple of those highlights is there's going to be a pause on new ticket sales and any new annual pass sales. And then all of the attendance is going to be shifted over to a theme park reservation system. And not only will you have to have a ticket, but you also have to have a specific day reservation in advance to get into the park. Things like the parades and the nighttime spectaculars will be gone for the time being, as well as anything else that pulls in a large gathering. Characters will be present, but there will be no contact, so no meet and greets or anything like that. And you'll be able to see them from a distance and get pictures, but that's about it. You will definitely have to have a mask if you're a guest, and also cast members. There will be physical distancing all throughout the park, on the rides, etc. And there will be temperature checks to get into the park. All the kind of stuff you would expect. So nothing super groundbreaking here, nothing giantly different than the other parks. So hey, we've got news of when it's going to open. So that means all happy, joyful joy time, right? Well, not quite. There is already an online petition going on for Disneyland not to go ahead and reopen in July, given the COVID-19 pandemic. And that petition already has tens of thousands of people having signed it. The petition says health officials have stated that the second wave of COVID-19 will be worse. So reopening before the second wave even hits us is irresponsible and greedy. I understand everyone is rejoicing for the reopening of the parks, but not during a pandemic where people are dying. Now is not the time. Now, clearly there are plenty of opinions on this one way and the other as to whether Disneyland reopening at this time is a good idea or not. And at this point in time, that seems to be the direction Disney is going, even with things in California and in LA County and Orange County starting to get worse in terms of number of cases. So we will see if that date over in the middle of July actually holds by the time we get there. For now, those of you who can be happy about Disneyland having opened, well, hey, here's some good news for you. For those who are not, well, not as much good news. For me personally, I love Disneyland, but I gotta tell you, as I have said before, I sure as heck would not be going until one of two things happens. Either A, I know I'm immune, or B, there is good widespread testing, and I can be assured via some system in place that everyone in that park is reasonably well expected to not be carrying coronavirus at that point. And frankly, we're not to those points yet, so don't have either of those there. And I don't think the park should be opening yet. Now that said, the flip side of that is many will talk about how the parks need to open for the employees, or hey, we're just tired of waiting, etc., etc. Now, really, our country across the board could be doing better to go ahead and support people and make it so that things could work better. Also, could be doing better across the board to make sure testing is being done so we can get to that other condition I talked about. We don't have any kind of system in place where even if we had the testing, we'd be able to be sure that other people have been. It's just not there. And that's the kind of thing we really need to get to a successful place of combating this pandemic. Other countries have set up systems like this. Other countries do take care of their people that are out of work. Not ours. So hopefully our country and our different states can get their act together at some point. Not that I'm holding my breath for it, but hey, it would be nice. And again, this is not a Democratic thing, not a Republican thing, because it is a problem across the board. After all, California is a Democratic state. We have a government that is a mix of the two at the federal level, and Florida is led by a Republican. So again, it's not an issue of one party versus the other. It's a failure across the board. Okay, continuing onward, our next story is about Major League Soccer. Last week I talked about how the NBA approved a deal to go down to the ESPN Wide World of Sports complex at Walt Disney World to continue its season. And I also talked about how their complex is large enough to hold more sports teams than just that. Well, guess what? The Major League Soccer team is also heading down to Walt Disney World. So they're going to be having an MLS is Back tournament down over at Walt Disney World, and it's going to start on July 8th and finish on August 11th. The teams will start arriving on June 24th for training, and they're going to be competing for a $1.1 million prize pool and a spot in the 2021 Scotiabank CONCACAF Champions League. Now, all 26 clubs are expected to be competing. And while we're at it, I'll just make a quick mention that the National Women's Soccer League, U.S. Women's Soccer, is also preparing for their first games of their upcoming tournament over in the Utah 2020 Challenge Cup starting on June 27th. So if you're a big soccer fan, or football as most of the rest of the world calls it, because you use your foot to kick the ball, unlike what we call football here in the U.S., but that's another matter for another day. But anyway, if you are looking forward to that, guess what? Your soccer's on its way back. Heck, this only makes me wonder, do you think there are any other teams heading down over to Walt Disney World soon? I guess we will find out in the upcoming days and weeks. And with that, now it's time for everyone's favorite section, the lightning round. A few quick headlines of bigger stories. Walt Disney World's Swan and Dolphin Food and Wine Classic has been canceled. It was originally scheduled for November 6th to 7th, but will no longer be happening this year. Petitions to retheme Splash Mountain and to keep it the same have both been garnering signatures. The retheme petition gaining far more signatures than the other at this point in time. The issues with Splash Mountain are its racist past in regards to Song of the South, Disney's most reviled movie in its collection probably at this point. Reports have come out that many outlets will not be sending reporters to be sequestered down in the NBA bubble at Walt Disney World due to the large cost and the 3.5-month isolation that would be required. Further, there is growing concern among many NBA players over continuing the season. While the pandemic is part of the concern, the bigger issue is over a renewed season serving as a distraction away from Black Lives Matter. A new Star Wars video game is coming. Star Wars Squadrons will be having a full reveal on Monday, June 15th in the morning. So if you're looking for a new Star Wars video game, it's coming soon. The first steel column of the new Zootopia land over at Shanghai Disneyland was installed on Monday. Now, construction started way back last December. Disney is developing a movie musical based on Lionel Richie's songs. Apparently, it is tentatively titled All Night Long, and the script is being written by Pete Chiarelli, who recently wrote Crazy Rich Asians. And with the conclusion of the lightning round, that's it for this week. So, what about you? What do you think about Disneyland reopening? Are you excited to see U.S. soccer returning? Let me know down below in the comments. And thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done it already. I'll be back again tomorrow with another new video for Freeform Disney. Have a magical day, and may the Force be with you. Always.